Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello and welcome. If you didn't get the memo, I'm sorry. Mr. Potter is not in this Friday. We knew that. He is on vacation with his family. So, all you got's me. But I got lots of stuff I can talk about. Like that's a shock. The first thing I want to talk about is my latest thing for wasting time on the internet. And that is the fact that one of our presidents, I never know numbers of presidents. He'd be in the 30s, I think. Warren Harding.
Warren G. reads Warren G. Harding's love letters.
See, Jess, you're so on to everything. Have you seen him?
Yes, yesterday.
What? Well, then maybe this is not something that nobody knows about. I thought I found this little thing tucked away in a corner of a newspaper, and it said that it was just this Tuesday that the Library of Congress put out for all of us to read almost would be correct, 1,000 handwritten pages of letters written by the president, Warren G. Harding, to his mistress. And some of the letters she wrote back. Well, one of these letters he wrote her was 43 pages long. And she wrote back one that was 30-something. See, there was a different... I guess you didn't call long distance. It was the only thing you could do. And if you were separated, from each other by any distance, this would be the way. I mean, in our age. So I love this, that these things survive. And that we're allowed to be voyeuristically, looking over the shoulder as he and she write to each other. The letters are written between 1910 and 1920, which is before he becomes president. But this apparently was a love affair that went on and on. I believe she was married, and I know he was married. So this was an adulterous in every way love affair. She was his mistress when he was the governor of Ohio and lieutenant governor of Ohio. He was lieutenant governor of Ohio. And there has been speculation that she... And I don't know how much this there's evidence to support it, that she, Carrie Phillips, was in fact a German spy. I don't know. Maybe some of you know. There are a number of books about Harding and his love life, but the Harding family is very upset about this release. They put out a statement. The family has had some frustration that now most articles and most inquiries have focused more on the titillating phrases in the letters rather than the meaningful historical context. So, did you read any particularly, Jess? You actually saw some, were there any that were steamy? Steamy?
Jimmy Kimmel there's a rapper. His name is Warren G. Very 90s.
Okay.
He had him on the show reading love letters.
Was he reading them or rapping the love letter? He was reading them. Oh, so this was on Jimmy Kimmel last night?
Yeah, I can post it on your Facebook.
No, well, okay, post it on my Facebook page, which I never look at. Do that.
Okay.
That'd be good. So there you got it. So I went looking, and it was they didn't have them transcribed. They just had literally what I saw was a photo of each page in their handwriting. And I, for some reason, could not get it so that I could particularly. It's not like I was. But if you have time on your hands, and I might go back to it. I hope I don't because I have so much to do that really has to be done. You can find all of this at, it's a very, I've never seen such a little teeny web address, loc.gov. Essentially, locate something for me.gov. loc.gov. And then you just stick in the search thing, Warren Harding's love letters. And they pop right up. So, I wonder how many of you are doing that right now. Okay, so, from there, we go to the obituary of the day. Let us speak of Ed Sprinkle. An unfortunate name, I think. If your name were Sprinkle, I mean, how do you visualize a guy named Ed Sprinkle? I mean, seriously, how do you see? Okay, we're going to have a cartoon character. His name is Ed Sprinkle. What does he look like? First of all, is he tall? Is he thin? Is he...
Short and stout.
He's short and stout?
I think.
Oh, you see him as a baker.
Yeah, like a muffin
Like
man.
Sprinkles. So Sprinkles did. Yeah?
Yeah.
I see Ed Sprinkle as tall and thin. Gangly. And you know why? Because I'm looking at a picture of him. Ed Sprinkle, he got 90 years in. And I'm looking at a picture of him. And he's wearing a football uniform. And he turns out to have played for the Chicago Bears back in the 40s and 50s and was known as the meanest man in football. Ed Sprinkle. It just doesn't sound like the name for the meanest man in football. But then you look at him, and he looks like he never weighed over 200 pounds. But see, that was the way football players were back then. He was thin, tall, and nice, square-jawed, nice, all-American-looking guy, Ed Sprinkle. So I read a little bit more about him. And he was most known and feared by quarterbacks in the league because he would take them down. It says here, with his powerful forearm delivered to the quarterback's nose, jaw, or neck. Now, if you say, why, that's illegal. You can't do that. Well, it wasn't illegal then. And he employed that on quarterbacks, running backs, pass receivers. It didn't matter. He played in 4 Pro Bowls. He was on the NFL's all-decade team for the 1940s. And here's a guy who was on the receiving end. This is a halfback for the 49ers. Sprinkle would drive you 10 yards out of bounds, and the official would be taking the ball away from you, but Sprinkle would still be choking you. And then Sprinkle said, here's how you do it. Because he was asked many times, so, God, how do you do what you do? You're just devastating the other team single-handedly. And he says, this is a quote from a interview we did in 1950. There are all sorts of things you can do to keep a guy from catching a pass. You can put your foot out and let the other guy fall on it. So he tripped him. You can't do that now either. He said, you could put your hands out as though you're pushing, but actually you're grabbing his shirt, and you hold him for a 1-2 count. That's illegal. Or, number 3, you grab a guy's shirt and he's running by, and yank. If you've got a strong grip and your timing's right, he'll spin himself right out of the play. Now, I don't think you can do any of those things now. There was a lot of talk about and of course, he wasn't wearing a face mask. Nor, I suspect, were a lot of the guys whose noses he broke. On one play in 1946, he actually forced not one, but 2 Giants running backs to the sideline. And when the dust had settled, one of them had a shoulder separation and the other had a broken nose. So there you have it. Ed Sprinkle, the terror of the 1940s and early 50s NFL, is now playing football in heaven. All right. Now to more mundane stuff. I'm sorry I blew all the better stuff at the beginning. To me, that was the better stuff because now we got to get into news. So, hang on here. By the way, yesterday when I was walking, I happened to go down a side street near the Federal Building here. There was an entire street of white vans.
I saw that.
Did you see what was on them?
No, I had sunglasses on.
All right. Homeland Security, baby. And there was something else, some kind of protective division, Homeland Security. And I swear there were like 8 or 9 of them or something. And I think out of the corner of my eyes, the bus sort of went by the same. I think they're still there. And I think they're there because of these hearings on these new regulations, EPA regulations regarding coal, which is why there were miners down here. And I saw that when I was trying to go home yesterday, there were buses all over Liberty Avenue, and they were bringing in miners, UMW members, from all over the place, who I guess marched around. They're very much against these EPA, and marched around and then took on some environmentalists in a bit of a shouting match. I got to tell you, you got these big burly miners, over 1,000 in number, and then you got a few, little earnest tree hugger types. If you were betting on if they actually, those were some brave little tree huggers there. So anyway, that whatever those hearings are continuing today at the Federal Building. But what the hell? And I saw Pittsburgh cops were all over the place, and they had, there's barriers, and they're still out there today. And all this because a group of what? Congress people? Is that who's there? Or is it I think, have come to hear what the public thinks. And Seems like a little bit of overkill, guys. Homeland Security. Oh, the public are being allowed to speak on an issue of some concern to various groups. So what? That means somebody's in danger? I don't think so. But whatever. Maybe that's the protocol if you ever have. I don't know. I can just see Congress saying, if we're ever out in the country and we're engaged in listening to the actual people speak, I think we want a rather large cadre of Homeland Security police to make sure we're safe out there. I have no idea why they would. It's very odd. Very odd. Speaking of public safety, was I? Yes. Not really. But speaking of cops, did you see? This is the most no, it's not. There's more depressing headlines than this. This is yet another depressing headline, half of which I have inadvertently ripped off. But there's a big headline in the local newspaper, see it there today, that says rift. It starts with rift. Rift widens between DA, the district attorney, and this guy named Buchar, who we've barely gotten to know, who is our new public safety director. We still don't have a police chief, but we got the police chief's boss, and it's this Buchar, B-U-C-A-R. This guy was just confirmed, was he not, 2 days ago? And there's a rift already between him and the district attorney. And not only is there a rift already, but the rift has widened. Well, hello? That does not seem like a good start. Here we are, a city that has been fumbling around without anybody on top of the police. This is the guy who, after, obviously, a very exhaustive search by the Peduto administration, was put in charge. Although, as I say, and he's a former FBI guy, Stephen Buchar. Actually, he's been in office, really, for, as I said, less than a week. And there's already real animus or animosity between him and the district attorney. And guys, I mean, you don't have to know anything. All you have to have done is watched Perry Mason back in the day, or any legal drama. And you know that a city's public safety director, the police chief's boss, and the district attorney ideally have a very good working relationship since they are both involved. I mean, both of them in their missions would have a lot to do with seeing that justice is served and the public safety preserved. Right? 2 days on the job and he's got a major rift with the DA? I don't know. I don't pick sides on this one because I don't know what the hell, but this is all about that IDing eyewitness, and I think Potter and I were talking about it a week ago. This is about the fact that the Pittsburgh police, when trying to apprehend somebody who's done a crime, they will ask eyewitnesses to identify a person by giving them a sheet of pictures. I mean, it's got like 10, 15 different pictures on it. All right, any of these people look like the guy you saw? Okay. And the DA has said, after an article appeared in the Post-Gazette just Sunday, that he is not going to pursue cases brought to him by the cops if what they got on the alleged perp is nothing more than an eyewitness ID from one of these pages. So I ain't going to do it because they've been shown to be bad IDs consistently. All studies show blah, 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 blah. And this is played out in the newspaper. And Bukhar's got his shorts in a twist. And he has said, I don't care. We're not changing. Now, that seems unfortunate because all the studies do show, the overwhelming number of studies show, that's not the way to get an ID, an eyewitness ID. You get it by giving somebody, as you've seen on TV in the, movies and stuff, you give them a whole bunch of things with one face on one page. You know that guy? Turn the page. You know that guy? Turn the page. And study after study after study has been done about which method yields the better witness. And it's not, and our new public safety director says, I won't do it. Why not? The DA is saying that's the way he wants it, and if you want, why not? They got their what is it with guys? What is this about? What is it about power? And this is my turf, baby. And I mean, right away, we got some kind of pissing contest going on between these two rather important people who have a great deal of responsibility in securing justice and public safety. And they're engaged in this stupid, you can just see them sort of bumping chests and stuff. It's like, I've had it. As soon as the DA had said that, initially, he wasn't going to the acting police chief, Ms. McDonald, she said, okay, if that's the way you want it, sure, that's the way we'll do it. And a day later, this new guy, Bukhar, her boss, comes out and says, like hell we will. Okay, so Chuck was downtown yesterday. Oh, maybe he saw the encounter between the tree huggers and the burly miners. Chuck writes, I was dropping off my daughter at the megabus stop. Excuse me, yesterday. Excuse me, I'm going to try again. And we got caught up in the traffic generated by the miners' march. We were surprised to see some of the activity, such as the 10-foot sculpture of Obama's head with smoke coming out of his ears and nose.
What?
Yeah, you missed it. It was right here. I wish we'd seen it. And why wasn't that picture in the paper today? I didn't see a picture like that. I would like to have seen that. Excuse me. We also saw a vendor with anti-Obama T-shirts for sale. And there were police everywhere. Yeah, they were there when I came into work. I could see something was up. There were police everywhere. I didn't realize Pittsburgh had that many officers on the force. You mean the ones that aren't under indictment? No, I didn't mean that. I take that back. Absolutely take that back. I do. I saw on the news last night that a dozen mine workers were arrested during the march. Oh, well, I hadn't seen that. Sometimes I don't watch the news. And sometimes, I really should because... Do you guys watch it? Because then we'll be on the same page a little bit more. I'm always assuming, and I assume you sometimes know more about me because you've seen whatever they've focused on. And I only know what I'm reading. Okay, well, yeah, and so I guess even though these hearings are going on today, the drama is not expected to be. I think all the buses with the miners went home, is what I'm saying. I think. Okay. So let's leave for a moment the dysfunction that has already become part of the new public safety director. In a very quick study, he must have learned somewhere that if you're heading public safety in Pittsburgh, you have to make it as fucked up as you can, as quickly as you can, and he seems to be doing very, very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Buchar. Okay, and now, I didn't talk about this when I first learned about it, which also was Sunday, and also reported by the Post-Gazette. That was a very good Sunday paper. There was a lot of stuff in that one. And this had to do, it was one of those stories that, you want to tear your hair out. You don't even want to know. It's a story of how the well-heeled and the powerful clearly take care of each other. This was a story about one of Governor Corbett's cabinet secretaries. In fact, his education secretary. And as we know, the Corbett administration has not exactly gotten a stellar record in the area of education. The Philadelphia system is almost, it's on its knees. It's in such desperate straits. Pittsburgh struggling. Smaller school districts struggling. Suburban school districts doing just fine because the way it works in Pennsylvania is the more money you have, the more you get. So, his education secretary was a bust from the very beginning. His name was Tamales, Ron Tamales. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he resigned his position. I don't like this being secretary. It's no fun at all. And so he left. Governor Corbett, though, said, hey, guy, what's his name? What's his first name? Hey, Ron. Listen, why don't we keep you around? Okay, you resign. We'll get another education secretary. Why don't we keep you around as like a special advisor on higher education to me? Okay? And in fact, we'll keep paying you the exact same amount. So you resign as the education secretary and then become instead my special advisor on education. And we'll keep paying you $140,000 a year. Okay? Ron says, well, sure, Tom. Let's do that. Well, the Post-Gazette apparently did a little investigation and have found that since that happened, since Mr. Tamales gave up his cabinet-level position to become this guy who's supposed to whisper into the governor's ear about certain things regarding education for the same price as being the Secretary of Education, it turns out he has done almost nothing. Clearly, almost nothing. I wish I had the, let's see, the PG found that there were 20 weeks, so he's had this position, I think, for about a year. There were 20 weeks that appear in his calendar that have no work-related appointments at all. There are phone logs in which you see that maybe charitably you could say this guy maybe made one phone call, not quite, one phone call a day over a 12-month period. Can you imagine getting paid $140,000 to not go into the office, to not do any work, and the money just keeps coming to you. There were 5 whole emails produced by Tamales in this 12-month period. 5 emails. Every 2 months he would do an email just to show he was earning his money. Supposedly his duties were overseeing, implementing, and reviewing the recommendations made by the Governor's Advisory Commission on Post-Secondary Education. Apparently he didn't do a damn thing. So, lest you think I'm exaggerating, a member of the governor's own party, because they control everything in this state now, who is the head of the Education Committee in the State Senate, Mike Fulmer, Republican, said, guys, I'm just saying, this should be looked into. I'm just saying. I mean, this is taxpayers' money we're talking about here, and we got to make sure we're spending that money the way it ought to be spent. So you actually now have, after the investigation, and here again, it's important to have a press that still does this kind of work. It's not the kind of work you'll see the networks doing anymore. It's not the kind of work you'll see some maybe blogger probably doing, because how do they support themselves while they're doing all the investigation, which takes a ton of labor? I don't know. Anyway, nice work if you can get it. You imagine, really, you walk in, you resign your position, and the boss says, sure, okay, resign. We'll give you, though, a title very much like the title you're resigning from, only we'll have you, like, report directly to me, and you know what? We'll give you the same salary. Isn't that a sweet deal? God almighty. Hey, caller.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if you saw in the paper that Pennsylvania made the top 10 list.
For what?
It is one of the 10 most corrupt states in the United States.
Well,
government-wise.
Well, I believe that simply because, I believe it. First of all, we probably are closing in on Illinois for the most office holders who are now in jail. There is next to no transparency. There are no ethics rules in Harrisburg. They can take as much money. It's beyond belief. Our state is totally corrupted. And most people don't give a damn, frankly.
Mississippi is number 1.
God bless them. They often are.
Pennsylvania is number 5.
Who are the others?
Florida's number 10.
Who is? Florida?
Pardon me?
We're more corrupt than Florida?
Oh, yeah, we are. The order is Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Alabama, Alaska, South Dakota, Kentucky, and Florida.
Almost all Republican-controlled states. Almost all. I think Illinois is the only
become number 1.
Let's try harder, okay?
Let's try harder. We can make it number 1 in no time.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's try.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. This helps. This little kind of a thing that I just shared with you, this helps a little bit. That's just wonderful. And speaking of the insanity of our state government, I read this thing, and I've never understood this. The Republican-controlled House of Representatives in Harrisburg has decided that they're not going to act on this thing that Philadelphia is begging them to get acted on before they recess, which they're always doing. And that is to allow Philadelphia to impose an additional tax on cigarettes. The reason being, what I mentioned before, Philadelphia's school district is getting real close to not being able to function. It needs to raise something like $81 million really fast. And they came up with the idea, okay, well, we're just going to put $2 more on the cost of a pack of cigarettes. Okay, go ahead, caller.
Hi, Lynn. This is Mike from Butler County. I know you moved on from the photo array topic.
Yeah.
But it was just coincidental because this week, CNN webcast or website, I didn't see it on the regular CNN News, had a story about exoneration and how now, I believe it's Texas or Arizona, they are going to that method that they were requesting the city to start issuing or start abiding by not doing with the whole page photo array with the single page. That was one of the reasons why that case was exonerated in Texas, because they changed the format on how they identify the suspects. And this person had been in prison for, I believe, 18 years. And they're saying that was one of the reasons why, and they changed that. So it seems to me that, again, you're bringing someone here in the city that really either just lack of intelligence and parts of trying to stay up to date with the practices that exist in the business, or care just to do their own thing. And so that is surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, it's surprising to me, disappointing to me, and also, I mean, this is well known. I think this has more to do with feeling angry at Zappala for maybe not telling him personally or something. I don't know. It's just...
Well, I think it's important for us to really, really try to do our homework. Now, in this day and time, and as how things are really, really developing, there's no reason for us to not stay aware and educate ourselves and do whatever we can to not allow certain individuals to take on certain responsibilities, because it has a tremendous effect on what we're trying to establish and keep going here in this region. I just want to share that information with you today.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things I had never noticed before when I lived in Wisconsin, I lived a little while in Illinois, and I lived for a while in New York, I never noticed that cities were unable to do things that you would think a city, if the city fathers think this is what we should do, we'll do it. Until I came here and found out that in Pennsylvania, there's all kinds of things that a city can't do for itself or a county for itself, because these jerks in Harrisburg say, you can't do that unless we let you. And there's something about, Pittsburgh being a secondary city, and the only first designated city is Philadelphia. And so I sort of thought, well, maybe Philly then can do whatever they want. Well, no, they can't, because the legislature has told Philadelphia, we can't get around to this thing that you want to do with the cigarette tax, which, by the way, I think is a pathetic, if that's what it comes down to. That's a regressive tax. I think most people who smoke are not the richest people. Would you agree with that? Huh?
I think everybody smokes.
No, I don't think everybody smokes. I think the rich, generally more educated, and who have doctors who are on their tails and everything, no, they've quit. I don't see a lot of rich people smoking.
They drink.
I'm just saying, they sure as hell drink. But, I mean, this is a sad way. This has to keep the schools from, closing before they open in September. But it turns out they can't do it without Harrisburg agreeing to it. And they said Harrisburg also hasn't decided whether or not to allow certain counties to up their hotel taxes. Well, what do you have? Why is that a concern of a state government? If Allegheny County wants to jack up a hotel tax or a cigarette. Let them suffer the consequences if it means fewer people come. What the hell? There's something about, I haven't seen this in other states, where the state government micromanages, like helicopter parents or something, every damn thing that the smaller governmental entities want to do. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Maybe you can explain this to me.
I doubt it.
They say Obama's rating is 40% approval, and Congress is 7%. I don't understand the American people with the cards that he was been dealt. I mean, I don't think the guy's done a bad job. I mean, I don't agree with everything he's done, but what is wrong with the American people? Can't they see what he was inherited? I just don't understand that. It is 40%. I think the he's at least done a B. At least a B as a president, at a grade average.
Okay.
They get so.
Well, you know why.
So fast. I mean, I don't agree with everything he does, but
right.
I still think he's pretty decent.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what? I think you know the answer. The answer is those people are watching and listening to certain media that do nothing but denigrate him. I mean, you have a Congress that can't do a damn thing except they're going to manage to sue Obama, which is the stupidest thing I ever heard. If they think he's done something illegal, then impeach him, okay? They know that didn't go too well the last time they did that with Clinton, and so they know they can't quite pull that off. So this is what the Congress is doing. These Republicans, did you say it's 7% now is what the approval rating?
Yes.
It's unbelievable, but don't look at reality like that or perception like that. Look at media and where people get their information. That's
exactly.
It. All right.
Okay,
We're in big trouble. Thank you. Now, if you would all just listen to me, we could all be very well educated. I just want to stop for a minute, this Ebola thing, and I just want to say, do you believe the courage and humanitarianism of doctors and nurses who, we always talk about like firefighters going into the burning building. Doctors going into what could easily be certain death to try to save others at absolute risk of their own lives. And I'm blown away by such people. And here again, I think Clarence was saying the other day that, when you get down, because you're listening to me tell you all these things that are not working right or going wrong, Clarence's trick is to remember people like the two Americans now fighting for their lives who went over there knowing the danger and attempting to save others. Those people, the only reason they're getting any attention, of course, is because this thing is getting dangerously close to really becoming a terrifying killer. Excuse me. What is wrong with my voice today? Okay, and so just one more little thing about state government. There was an entire page of the Post-Gazette, and probably any paper you saw today, which I guess had to, by state law, be printed. And it is a printing of 3 joint resolutions that have emanated from the august halls of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the seat of our corrupted government. And all of these are going, there's an effort to amend certain things in the state constitution. So they have to print these so you and I, who actually might vote on this, because we're going to have a chance to vote on this, because you can't amend without the people agreeing. And this, of course, is the kind of thing the people never know a damn thing about. And I was just looking at what they were doing, and it's so odd. And this again shows the stupidity and sort of the corruption of this state. It appears that one of these is simply about bringing the guy who heads traffic court in the city of Philadelphia under the same rules and requirements of all other judges in the Commonwealth. And you might say, well, why the hell would this one court in Philadelphia not have been like all the other courts in the Commonwealth? Well, it has to be something to do with corruption. It does. Because we'll be voting on getting out of this Constitution the fact that all of the judges in Pennsylvania, from the Chief Justice down to the judges presiding over all the courts, the appellate courts, the president judges of all other courts, all of them, and then the way our Constitution has always read, and here are the lines they want us to take out. All judges in the Commonwealth, blah, 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 may do this, may do that, may blah, 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 except the president judge of the traffic court in the city of Philadelphia. And the exception throughout is always except traffic court. And it turns out, if you read a little further in this bureaucratese, legalese stuff that'll make your eyes cross, that it turns out that the president judge of the traffic court in the city of Philadelphia, by virtue of the Constitution of this state, is the only judge in the entire state who, I'll read from our Constitution again, shall be appointed by the governor. All right, I ask you, where the hell would that exception have come from? What? Every judge in every bailiwick, in every little from the highest to the lowest, every judge, except for this one, the head of traffic court, which is a notorious corrupt court, right? Head of traffic court in the biggest city. No, that plum assignment goes to the governor. If there's any other reason other than this is a red flag showing corruption. Now, the good news is that we, the people, will be voting to take that out. So someone's actually cleaning that up and putting the goddamn head of the traffic court in Philadelphia under the same regulations as every other judge, president judge of anything in the state. But you read this stuff, and you can't believe what you're reading. There's another one here about amending the Constitution to change, it looks like, that has to do with what organizations get to be declared charities. I would think this thing might have something to do with the UPMC flap. I'm not sure. But looking at it, I can't make head nor tails of what it would actually do. If this would be something UPMC wants or not. I suspect UPMC wants this because it would amend our Constitution to establish uniform standards. No, to get rid of this. It would not allow then the state to establish uniform standards and qualifications which shall be the criteria to determine qualifications as institutions of purely public charity. I would think this is something UPMC wants, so that the state can't pass some kinds of rules that will have an impact on whether or not they are, in fact, a charitable organization. I don't know. So take a look at this stuff. You know damn well, I mean, if you do go vote in November, you're going to be asked to vote on this. Wouldn't it be nice to understand exactly what the hell it is? The traffic court judge thing in Philadelphia, though, being actually a part of our Constitution, that one black leather chair can only be filled by the governor. It is too funny for words. I wish somebody would do some backstories for us, but there's not enough reporters out there who do reporting anymore. They don't have time. Okay, 7 minutes. Hey, full disclosure. We're only doing a 3-day week next week. We do Monday, we do Tuesday, we do Wednesday. Thursday, Sokolowski had already said he couldn't be here. And Thursday, as it turns out, I can't be here. And then Friday, as it turns out, I can't be here. And then as it turns out, I can't be here on Saturday and Sunday, but then you weren't expecting me to be there on Saturday and Sunday anyway. But then it turns out I can't be here the following Monday. And, do you believe it? The next Tuesday. So what I'm saying is take it all together, and there are 4 shows we are not having. This next week, Thursday, Friday, the following week, Monday and Tuesday. And obviously, I have jerry-rigged a 6-day vacation, where I will be meeting up with my siblings and my mom and various offspring to celebrate my mom's birthday. Okay? And, you know, we celebrate for a long time, so that's what that's about. There was this great report, sort of a compilation in the magazine called The Week, and they drive me crazy a lot. But for people who don't do what I do every day, which is read all the newspapers, this is a great way of sort of catching up. They compile different points of view, different stories on whatever has been the news of the week. And so you can get it. But their special thing they did, I think this was about 2 issues ago, was on a subject that is near and dear to my heart, which I have ranted about a few times. And that is, and I'll use their headline, the militarization of America's police. And, you know, I have mentioned how these SWAT teams now, Wilmerding PD probably has a SWAT team. It used to be only the largest cities had a SWAT team, and the SWAT team was specifically for really scary kinds of situations, blah, 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 and you're up against some really nasty person, right? Turns out now, and this is all because of 9/11, and again, all those vans parked a block away from me, all those white Department of Homeland Security vans that are out here downtown today. All of this is because the Congress of the United States, in its knee-jerk and knee-knocking out of fear reaction to 9/11, poured unbelievable amounts of money into this new department they created, the Department of Homeland Security. And that Department of Homeland Security had more stuff. They didn't even know what to do with it. And then there were grants to let police departments all over the country, because who knows where the terrorists would hit next. It could be Wilmerding. And so Wilmerding and Pittsburgh and every little podunk place in the universe were given tons of money. Or, get this, when we left Iraq, there were a lot of surplus military stuff there, right? We didn't need them anymore. So, a lot of that military stuff, and I'm talking tens of thousands of machine guns, night vision goggles, armed helicopters, silencers, armored vehicles, mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles. I mean, you name it. Those were doled out to the SWAT teams that had been formed after 9/11. So, talk about militarization. Our police now have stuff that they have never, ever had. And the Pentagon has let go over $4 billion of these vehicles, rifles, equipment that just were intended for Iraq or Afghanistan, but just didn't quite get around to doing it. And so now we got them. I mean, the police. Here. And you know, boys will be boys, but when you got a new gizmo, this unbelievable vehicle, that even a mine, if it goes over a mine, will not blow up. Why, man, you got to use them. I mean, they're too much fun. You got to go out. Hey, everybody, get your night goggles. Get your night goggles. We have somebody who didn't pick up dog poop over on, Flower Street. We're going in and taking her down. SWAT teams in this country do paramilitary style raids on Americans. Do you know how many times a day in this country the average is now? 124 a day. The SWAT team is called. The SWAT team is called. The SWAT team did this. The SWAT team did that. And invariably, these raids are to do something like see if some guy's growing marijuana in his basement. They're drug searches. Sometimes if you want to get somebody in trouble, you go over to the police and you say, hey, I think over on 722 Butler, that guy's growing pot in his basement. That's all a SWAT team needs. Could be a totally unreliable, they don't know, they get a source like, hey guys, come on, get the night goggle glasses out, get the helicopters, get the machine guns, we're going in. And that, you think I'm kidding? That's what's happening. Most of these SWAT raids are to investigate non-violent offenses. Many of them misdemeanors. Get this, 2010, Orlando, Florida. Heavily armed SWAT teams raided 9 barbershops. Arrested 34 people, and you know what the crime was? Barbering without a license.
Oh my God.
They kick doors down. They slam people down on the ground. They say they enter the house screaming profanities, trying to be, you know what they do. They arrested 34 people for not having a license to cut hair. Jesus, God in heaven.
Oh, dear.
They have killed innocent people. I'm sure people have died of heart attacks. I know. You think you're being invaded by a bunch of lunatics. And there are many times where the person whose home is being invaded, who has a gun, will shoot thinking they don't know what the hell's going on. And then not only then they're totally, they're gone because they've killed a police officer. And this to me is so outrageous because it totally changes the point of view of the cops. And it gives them this warrior mentality. That's not what police used to be. They didn't look, you could tell, this guy's a police officer. This guy is in the middle of some terrifying war. They didn't look the same. They look the same now. We got a little picture of that when the G20 met here. You couldn't tell the cops from, I'm telling you, Darth Vader's forces. That's what they look like. Maryland is one of only 2 states with a law requiring the police to actually track how many SWAT raids they do and why they do them. And you know why Maryland did that? Because one SWAT raid, and it was another botched one, in 2009, in which 2 dogs were shot dead. Not just any 2 dogs, but the 2 dogs of the mayor of Berwyn Heights, Maryland. This is a bigger issue. I can't believe that people aren't onto this issue more. And every time you see, and you can't get through a newscast probably without seeing the SWAT team this, the SWAT team that. This is boys playing with toys and treating Americans like their enemy. The enemy. This is an outrage, and it's proliferating, and it has done damage. We have done a lot of damage to ourselves, to our civil liberties, because of what happened on 9/11, and because we reacted like terrified children. There! I'm done. I am so done. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday, okay? Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.